To the breaking news, we've learned within the last hour that Bill Shine is resigning as the White House communications director in order to join the Trump 2020 campaign. We just got a statement from the campaign itself calling Bill an incredible professional who will bring insight and talent as we build a world-class campaign. He's a gifted communicator, strategic thinker, and brings a wealth of experience from cable news to the White House. The president's reelection effort just got stronger. And let's bring in the former White House press secretary and former communications director, Sean Spicer, joins us from our bureau in D.C. Talk about Bill Shine, of course, a former executive here at Fox. Boy, a couple things. Well, I want to talk about a couple of other topics with you, Sean, as well. But first of all, your reaction to this news.
Well, look, Bill's a very talented executive. I worked extensively with him when I handled the debates on the Republican side last cycle. Obviously, we did debates with Fox Business and Fox News Network. Bill was an integral piece of that. And as you head into an election year where you've got big production events, the convention, general election debates, Bill can play a big role, understanding the dynamic, the look, all of those things. He brings a tremendous amount of executive experience as far as the logistics and hiring and talents needed to do those big type of productions. Right. And I'm sure that he can really offer a helping hand in this critical election season. But
what about the opening it creates? Again, by the way, at the White House, something you're familiar with. Weren't you communications director twice? I think Blake was mentioning that a little while ago, as we all know. But
I didn't count, but I think it got up to 3 times.
Oh, is that right? So, but I mean, he cycled. Well, let me put it this way: the president cycled through a number of people in this position. Yeah. Some say the president, even those who support him, is his best communications director. In other words, he does it on his own. Does that make the job challenging for someone like you or for Bill to do coming in from the outside?
I think there's some pluses and minuses. It's great having somebody as a boss that appreciates the communications effort, what goes into it, and how important messaging is to advancing an agenda. But if you look at the team over there, and again, as you mentioned, when we started off, I had to lead both the communications and the press team. You've got Sarah leading the press office. You've got Mercedes Schlapp handling strategic communications, and Bill Shine. They have a tremendous team. You know, Bill might be moving on to the campaign, but you still are leaving Mercedes running a lot of the communications effort, and Sarah running the press office, which is much more than we had at the beginning. They're a great team. They've gelled well together. Right. And when you look beneath the surface, there's a lot of really good synergy among the middle level and lower level staff supporting them, which is something that we didn't necessarily have at the beginning. So I think Bill definitely filled a void at an important time, but his talents are clearly needed on the political side as we head into the election year. But make no mistake about it. I think with Sarah and her team and Mercedes running the communications team for right now, I don't know where the president's going to ultimately head in terms of does he bring in additional people, but make no mistake, I don't think they're going to lose a beat for a second.
Okay, so two-part question, I guess, as the last point on this issue. You mentioned Mercedes Schlapp a couple of times. Does it make sense to you that she would step into this role on a permanent basis, or might they go in a different direction? And the second part, briefly explain for people the difference between what you call the press operation and the communications operations. I know you had both jobs, but they're different, right?
They are. The easiest way to put it is this. The press operations deals with the day-to-day incoming. The questions from the press that are immediate right now, hey, I need to know what this administration is doing, what's the position of the White House on this, what's this personnel announcement coming forward. The stuff that's in the immediate. The communications team is more of the logistics and the planning. They're planning events that are coming down the pike. They're thinking about long-term messaging. They're working with the departments and agencies throughout government to create a unified administration message. So one's day-to-day, one's more long-term in a very simple sense.
Mercedes steps in here permanently?
Yeah, but here's what I was going to say about the second part. I don't think that titles are as important as they have been in the past. The team gets the job done, and that's what's important. So right now, Sarah's been running the press team. Bill and Mercedes have been running the communications team. It's not a question of who has what title. Before, we've had individuals, Hope Hicks and others, that were involved in the team. As long as these are people that the president trusts to execute the strategy, that's what matters. So I'm worried less about who's got what title and is the job getting done. And right now, the job's getting done.
I mentioned I want to talk to you about other topics. The one other that I'll bring up here today actually is related to Fox as well. Bill's a former executive here at Fox. The news that broke this week that the Democratic National Committee is not going to give a debate this time around to Fox News. As you pointed out, you were at the RNC in the last cycle dealing with debate. So your reaction to this move strategically, I guess, from the DNC, what do you make of it?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I ran point on organizing and spearheading the Republican effort for the primary debates. I'll say this. There's two sides to this. One is, on a very selfish standpoint, I'm glad the Democrats aren't doing this with Fox, because Fox offers them a much bigger audience than any of the other platforms that are going to go to. They are very active viewers that you have. I think it's, from a Republican standpoint, purely selfishly, I think it's good. They're cutting their nose off to spite themselves. But if you're looking at it objectively, it is really short-sighted and stupid. Fox offers them an opportunity to broaden their message. They're going to have to compete in a general election much more than the base that they're catering to with the other two networks that they're focused on right now, right. MSNBC and CNN. I think if they want to expand their base, and if you think about the states that they lost, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota was close, Iowa, Pennsylvania, those are all states that you can't play a single strategy with. They can't just say we're going to cater to the base and expect to win a general election,
and a bunch
especially
of Fox
with
viewers in a lot of those states. Right.
And that's what I'm saying. So them looking at a broader audience is the only way to win. So from a very selfish standpoint, I think it's great for Republicans. From a purely objective political standpoint, it was a bad move.
What about last time around, though, when you guys, there was a debate on our main rival, CNBC,
yes.
and then afterwards, as I remember, you severed your relationship at the RNC with NBC in general. So then after that, there was no NBC debate or NBC News debate. What are the kind of similarities between that and this, or any differences that you see?
Well, again, I think we also broadened it out. We did debates on CBS, on CNN. We did one on ABC. So we did one on CNBC because of how they handled it. We didn't think that we could continue to partner with NBC entities. But we did one to begin with CNBC. We did them with the other networks. So we were fairly broad when we did it, and we won. I think if you look at what they're doing, if you look at Fox's audience by total amount and by demographic, it's very short-sighted for them to cut their nose off to spite themselves. I think they're making a purely political move to play to their base, but this is not a winning strategy by the DNC, and they'll pay the price at the ballot box for it. So I get it, but it's different. We actually spread the wealth pretty big, and I don't think that there's many folks that accuse the media of being pretty right-leaning. So the Democrats have most of the media in the bag to begin with. Fox offered them an opportunity to broaden the aperture of their political lens. They've chosen not to do that. That's quite the opposite of what we did. We had debates on Fox and Fox Business, but we also had them on CNBC, CNN, NBC,
more broad,
ABC. We were much more broad.
Got it. Good to talk to you on all these issues, Sean. Before you leave, you want to rank all-time White House communications directors under Trump? I would say Scaramucci, then Spicer, then Schein, or no?
No.
Thanks. I'm not even going to let you answer. Thanks a lot for coming on. We appreciate it.
You bet.